What if the work you do outside your job is actually the clearest signal of the work you want to be doing for real? In today's Thrive Now episode, we have a special solo episode. So, yes, this is a Lesson from the Dome episode. And I will be exploring the idea of something I like to call shadow work in your career. Shadow work is the unpaid, after-hours, passion-driven work that keeps showing up in your life whether you plan for it or not. From volunteering and community leadership to hobbies, side projects, and even your social media feed, this episode breaks down how your shadow work leaves clues about your values, skills, and the environments where you'd thrive the most. If your day job feels disconnected from who you really are, or you're burnt out without knowing why, this episode will help you start connecting the dots. Now, here's a reflection question for you before you dive into today's episode. The question for you is, what are you consistently doing outside your job that you wish counted more? And what would you change if you treated it like a career clue instead of a side note? All right, let's dive into today's episode.
Lately, I have been so obsessed with the concept of shadow work. I believe your shadow work in your professional career is all the things that you actually really want to be doing. The shadow work that we do, when I say shadow work, I'm talking about professional level work that we do outside of the office in our free time. That's the work that we actually want to be doing, but we don't understand how to get paid for that thing at a high level. So we continue to operate in the shadows. So I have created my own definition for shadow work. But I want to touch on that a little bit. Let me give you an example. So I hear people say, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want to work on. Meanwhile, their TikTok feed is giving them clues, like they're watching mindfulness videos about how to reclaim your life. They participate in things that gives them leadership and authority. You can think of things like being the PTA president for their kids' school, or being deeply embedded in nonprofit work on the weekends, like volunteering at a food bank or going to talk to young girls at a school or after school program. If you are gravitating towards all these things, real people get paid to do these things and stand these programs up as their full-time jobs. So when I hear people saying that they don't like the work that they do, but then they're doing all this other work outside of their traditional 9 to 5, then I'm like, you know exactly what you want to do. You are just operating in the shadows at this point in your life. And it's causing some friction with your day self. Oh my gosh, now I'm talking like we're vampires. But your shadow work is in conflict with your day work. So there's no wonder you're burnt out, or you feel like you don't know what to do, or you're operating outside of who you really are. A lot of people are like, I do XYZ for work. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. Well, what else do you like to do? What are your hobbies? Like, what did you do as a kid? And like, the more people start to talk, I'm like, oh, you do XYZ, but you don't really want to be doing XYZ. You want to be doing ABC. And ABC is the shadow work that you just lit up about as you were talking to me about you doing ABC. And something in me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person wants to be doing ABC, but they're doing XYZ. Should I help? Should I not help? And sometimes my friends, they're like, I love you. You send me too many things. Don't do it anymore. Because I'm like, but you really want to be doing ABC, but you're doing XYZ. I saw so many jobs for ABC. You're already doing ABC. You're just not being paid for it yet. So yes, I say all of that to say, sit down with yourself, and I want you to figure out what your shadow work is. Another thing that people say is that they feel like they're not being fully utilized. I get this. I've been in roles where I'm only using like 25% of my skills. And I'm like, it feels like I'm a recent college grad all over again. And I've been given a set of like 3 tasks to do that I can finish in like a couple of hours. And I'm like, I'm not operating at my highest potential by sitting here and doing 3 tasks a day. I've also been in other spaces where I've been overworked, where yes, I can do the work, but I don't have enough time to do the work to precision, and to make it good, or I'm not being supported and I don't have enough team members around to make the thing a success. And in that's not also not a great place to be in, because you're being utilized to your full potential, but you don't have the support systems to keep you from burning out while you're in that position. So I say all of this to say your shadow work leaves clues so that you know exactly what you want to be doing. But once you get to the places where you know you want to be doing a thing, now it's time for you to have your support systems around you so you're not being underutilized or overutilized. You want to find a nice balance in the middle where you have a team and a support system and you're operating in a space where you're truly using all of your gifts and skills. And I want you to do some exercises or do some career journaling. Like, I love career journaling. And I want you to document the things that you do outside of your day job and start to tie skills to those things. For instance, I mentioned earlier that my fake person has a TikTok feed that's full of mindfulness videos. They might be the president of their PTA, and then they also spend their weekends doing nonprofit work at like food banks and with children. So in that instance, this person has deep, deep, deep community engagement experience. Mental health awareness is something that they appreciate. They may not be an expert in it, but they appreciate it because their TikTok feed is full of mindfulness and mental health videos. And then on the weekend, they're deeply ingrained into the community with the food bank and the children. So they care about social issues. Maybe they live in a food desert or food insecurity is a really big deal for them. And then children is youth development. And then being a PTA president, that bumps it up even more. That's youth engagement. So these are all things that I think about. Like, as someone's talking to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, you have so many skills, so many areas that you are touching, even if you're not being paid to do that thing. So for me, I've been deeply ingrained in corporate life. And when I'm in corporate, I pay close attention to the types of roles that companies hire for and where they spend their money. So just by listening to this person talk, I can put her or him in a box, and not in a traditional sense like you're being put in a box, but let's call it like little cohorts. I can think of little pockets of organizations, or if they wanted to be a consultant or a fractional professional or freelance professional, it doesn't really matter the job or work type. What matters most is the buckets or the pockets that they could float in and use the skills that they love to use, not the skills that they use in their day work. So their shadow work buckets that they could be placed in. Here are some of the buckets. So one bucket is organizational development. So this is like making sure that an organization is on the right track, lots of operations, lots of human capital management might fall into something like this. So if a person is a leader and they know how to run an organization, then this might be something that they're interested in. Another one, employee experience. So employee experience is all about making sure that the employee's experience at a company is a great one. And it's a great role to be in. I like to think of it as like an RA for adults or an RA for a company. You're putting on events, you're running like surveys internally to make sure everyone's happy. I feel like the purpose, this is from my perspective, the purpose of an employee experience or an employee engagement type role is to make sure you don't lose good people to competitors. A lot of companies invest in it. Not every company invests in it. But this, for purposes of this example, that would be a really great role for that person to step into. Another role would be community engagement. They're already deep in the community with the food bank and the youth and the PTA. So that is another example. Community engagement is also very similar to employee experience or employee engagement. You're engaging a community of people to rally them around a cause or a mission or to just bring them together. So this would be perfect for that person. Another one is culture and belonging. So culture and belonging also very closely aligned to employee experience. Culture and belonging and employee experience usually fall under like the HR umbrella. So this person in general would do well under an HR department at an organization. Another example, nonprofit partnerships. They're already deeply ingrained in the nonprofit space, especially being a part of the PTA. I know they have to raise money. So, and this is a fictitious person, by the way, but we're using them as an example because this is someone's story for real. But the nonprofit partnerships piece, a lot of that is being deep in the community, forming partnerships, raising money, doing everything that you need to do to make whichever organization you're a part of successful. This person would do wonders because they already have connections in the community and they could get paid to continue to keep up connections in the community. And then last but not least, this person, a bucket that they could live in would be a wellness coach because they're already deeply ingrained in the community. They already have a touch point at the school. So that's like they could be a wellness coach for youth. If they're surrounded by youth all the time, they could be a wellness coach in terms of helping people get past food insecurity and live a better life. Like the wellness coach is an umbrella term, but this person, because of their interest in the work that they do outside of the office, could lean into becoming a wellness coach. So those are just a couple examples. If you are in a place where your day work doesn't feel as exciting as your shadow work, or your shadow work is overshadowing your day work, where you care more about the things that you do outside of an office than inside the office, then it's probably time for you to have a conversation with yourself and start journaling about your shadow work. So I'm going to give you a couple of categories that you can do some journaling in, and then you can start to connect a couple of dots to see where your shadows may be hiding. Yay. Okay, grab a pencil and a piece of paper or your notepad and write down these categories. So, category number 1 is your childhood. I love going back and helping people think through like their origin stories or their origin pieces. I love to tell the story of like my sister. Like I don't know. She'll probably get mad at me for telling this story, so maybe I won't go too in detail. In elementary school, she created a petition because of something she didn't agree with. Fast forward years later, that petition that she created in that space, she's technically working in that space now. So like the things that she didn't appreciate or she was mad about in her youth, it somehow matriculated into her adulthood and the type of work that she does and what she cares about now. But I don't think it's a coincidence. I really do think our younger selves are our purest forms in a lot of ways. And the things that make us upset or angry or mad or curious in our youth, it just gets amplified the older that we get. Not everyone listens to it. Some people listen to it and they end up working in spaces and making impacts in spaces that they cared about as children. Other people suppress it because it doesn't make money, or they listen to other people who don't know them well, or people who do know them well but want the best for them. And they don't end up in spaces where they can truly make an impact. I just say all of that to say childhood is the first piece that you should start with as you're journaling. So things that you cared about, things that you were curious about, things that brought you some form of joy, all the emotions, just run the emotion gamut as you're thinking through your childhood and journaling about it. Next up, your extracurriculars. So, your extracurriculars, let's focus on the ones that you do right now as an adult or wherever you are. Just start journaling about some of the things that you do. What do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? So, that means it's a part of your shadow work story. So, definitely document it. Next up are your energizers and motivators. I like to be positive. Knowing what drains you is important too, but I think it's more important to understand what energizes and motivates you. So this is the bucket that I want you to live in. Don't think about the drainer so much. What energizes and motivates you? In our example, the person was energized by being in community. You could tell just based on the things that they chose to do. Like if you show up outside of work and without being paid to do something, that means it's energizing for you. You naturally gravitate towards it. So that is something that you can be getting paid for. So yes, look at it like that. What are you drawn to even when you don't have to be there? That is an energizer and that is a motivator. A motivator could also be I don't want to get sick when I get older. So in order to not get sick, I work out or I work with youth in the afternoons and do exercises. Like that could also be a motivator. Like you don't want to get sick, but the kids energize you as well. So you combine the two things. You keep moving and you're energized by the youth because you're working with them or you like their energy, you like their curiosity. It's something about it that draws you towards youth instead of like maybe senior citizens or something like that. So those are things to think through as you journal in that bucket. Next up are your hobbies. And your hobbies and extracurriculars can go together, but some people do extracurricular things like being a part of a PTA, and that is not a hobby. A hobby could be like sewing and cooking and rock climbing, like things like that. So fill out your hobby bucket and see what falls under there and how it relates to the previous categories. And then last but not least, I don't think a lot of people think about this, but everyone's social media feeds are not the same. So I need you to take a look at your social media feeds and pay attention to the things that are popping up. Like, what are the topics that are being discussed? In our example, that person's TikTok feed was full of mental health videos. I do think TikTok videos, and like Instagram videos are two great places to start, or Instagram feeds and TikTok feeds. One, because TikTok algorithm is very creepily accurate. So whatever you like and you keep liking, it'll keep showing up for you in mass. And then Instagram is a good one because of the community that you're surrounded by. So anytime your friends or family like something, you typically see it on your feed as well. So that's a good nugget. A lot of people don't like that piece, but that's a good nugget to understand what you're surrounding yourself with, like the types of people and their mentality and what they like and what they dislike. And if you agree with the things that they're liking and what's showing up on your feed as well. So I think both of those feeds are really interesting. Another thing that you can look at are the ads that you're being served on a social media platform. I know for me, Instagram is top notch. Like the ads that I see on Instagram relate to the things that I like so well. So another thing for you to look at are your Instagram feed ads or any other platform that you might spend a majority of your time on. The ads that they serve you have been tailored so well because they want the businesses to continue to spend money and get returns. So they will tweak the ads to a place where it best suits the end user, which is you. So look at the ads, look at your feeds, just look at everything that is currently in your life and how it's all orchestrating together. And you can start to connect dots. Like from your childhood, you can say, oh my gosh, I like this one thing. And now I do an extracurricular that's kind of like that thing that I liked. And then I'm doing that extracurricular because it's energizing and motivating me for this particular thing. And then I also do hobbies that's surrounded by this particular thing. And then I also get social media ads that's about this particular thing. And then you start to add all of those things up. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong field or I'm doing the wrong type of work. This is the work that I'm really supposed to be doing. So I love that. And another clue, a lot of people, they will have full-time jobs and they'll do freelance or they'll do consulting in something that's completely different. The thing that's completely different is usually the thing that they really want to be doing, but they haven't found a way to monetize it yet to a place where they could quit their full-time job to do the thing. So if that is someone like you, congratulations. Your consulting is your shadow work. And the next big hurdle is figuring out how to make enough money. So that is your full-time work. So this was a little long. These are just like, once again, lessons from my dome, things that float through my head. But I know that it helped someone. Even the folks who don't dream of labor, if you had the choice, you would still be doing something that is not what you're currently doing. And you would still be doing something with your time. I think human beings are made to be doing things, not just sitting still and sitting on a beach. You will create something. You will want to help someone or impact someone's life. So even if you don't dream of labor, I say, think about all these categories, start doing some journaling, and start figuring out how to change your life and make your own dreams a reality. This has been very long, but I know that it's helpful and it will impact someone. So this was another lesson from the Dome. See you next time. Bye.
If your day job feels disconnected from who you really are, don't ignore that tension. It's time to investigate it. And I'm so glad that this episode is giving you the tools that you need to start that investigation and start digging a little bit deeper. Remember, your shadow work isn't random. It's a rehearsal. You're currently in your training season, your designing season, even if you don't realize it, if you truly are doing work outside of work. This episode is a part of Thrive Now Week, where we're slowing down just enough to listen to what our life has been signaling to us all along. I really hope that you've been gleaning some of these gems that my guests have been dropping all week, and keep coming back every single day this week because I have more conversations and even more guests to bring you. Remember, drop your reflections in the comments based on what you've heard on this episode or previous episode that you've heard this week. Share this episode with someone who's been saying, I don't know what I want, because chances are they know exactly what they want. They just haven't been listening to the clues in their lives. And last but not least, let's take one step towards the work and the things that feels good to us and actually fits us this week. I hope that you have been getting some gems, like I said. Also, don't forget to add your reflections and your goals and the things that you want to set intentions for in the new year in my dream database. The link is always in the comment section or in the show notes. And I will see you right back here tomorrow. Remember, go out and thrive today, not tomorrow.